The Airbus A380 is a plane unlike any other. With its massive size, the airliner is designed to transport the largest possible number of people over long distances. But what makes the A380 so unsuitable for short-haul flights? After all, most of the world's busiest air routes are fairly short. An important factor is the turnaround time. Short-haul planes are turned around multiple times each day, and a densely configured Airbus A380 takes a long time to deboard, clean, and board, making it an inefficient choice. Another contributor is that, particularly for short flights, the customer wants to be able to choose when to fly. 3 flights spread out across the day are more convenient than just 1 flight on a massive plane. Gate size constraints and cabin layout invariability, among others, also hamper the A380's suitability for short-haul service. And that raises the question, why would you ever find an A380 on a short-haul flight? To answer that question, you'll simply have to look at what the shortest ever A380 flights were for. Back in 2021, Singapore Airlines briefly operated a flight from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur with their Airbus A380, a route of just 300 kilometers. The Superjumbo wasn't used for its capacity, but rather for crew training purposes after its pandemic-era grounding. At that point, Singapore Airlines crews hadn't operated the plane for a year and a half and needed to retrain on it, for which short flights are simply the most efficient way to do so. Before that, in 2016 and 2017, Emirates briefly used its A380 on a route just 100 kilometers longer from Dubai to Doha, among other reasons to bring as many transfer passengers as possible from Doha to Dubai for Emirates hub waves from slot-constrained DXB. Both Singapore to Kuala Lumpur as well as the Dubai to Doha A380 flights unfortunately don't exist anymore, leaving us with the current shortest A380 flight on the planet, from Seoul to Tokyo aboard Asiana. After the pandemic, only British Airways, ANA, and Asiana Airlines brought back all of their original A380s, with Asiana having 6 in operation. And with such a small number of planes, filling the schedule efficiently with long-haul flights only is challenging. In recent years, Asiana used its A380s on flights to Los Angeles and Taipei, occasionally to Bangkok, as well as down to Sydney during northern winter. Starting this summer though, they'll exclusively fly them to Los Angeles and New York JFK, which unfortunately also means the end of the Superjumbo's short-haul services, including the flights to Tokyo. So today, let's take the A380 from Tokyo over to Seoul while we're still able to. I'm glad you've decided to join me, so let's get going. After flying from Osaka Kansai to Seoul Incheon on one of Asiana's final Boeing 747 flights, a video certainly worth watching as well, it's now time to try Asiana's A380 between Japan and Korea too. In contrast to the 747 flight, we'll travel in economy class today, but still on the upper deck, as Asiana's A380 has a fairly large economy class section upstairs. After getting our ticket for the Narita Express, which connects various parts of Tokyo directly with Narita Airport, the one that's quite far from the city center, it's time to get an ikibin. This is my own little tradition when taking the hour-long journey to fly out of Narita. Ikibin are bento boxes made to be eaten on trains, with iki meaning station and ben being short for bento. Watching the scenery of Tokyo pass by the train while enjoying one last Japanese meal always makes that hour-long journey to the airport just fly by. Asiana Airlines, like most Star Alliance carriers, uses Terminal 1 at Narita Airport. Check-in was quick and easy because of how early I usually go to the airport. There is really nothing wrong with Narita Airport and its terminals. They are sizable, easy to navigate, and fairly modern. However, the Japanese government recently unveiled plans to rebuild the entire airport over the course of the next 2 decades, unifying the current 3 terminals into one massive building, as well as adding a 3rd runway. While I can see certain efficiency improvements over the long term, I feel like this will cause quite a lot of construction-related headaches at Narita in the short term. Over there, you can see a 1/3 of ANA's A380 fleet, right next to 1/6 of Asiana's. More specifically, the plane will be traveling aboard today. Hotel Lima 7635, a 2015-built Airbus A380. Asiana now operates their Superjumbos in a 2-class configuration, with 78 business class seats and 417 economy class seats. Originally, there was also a 12-seat first-class cabin, which is still physically there, only that Asiana terminated its first-class service and now sells these seats as business suites, with business class service on the ground and in the air, but physical first-class seats you can pay extra to be seated in. We won't get to see them though, as we're seated in the rear of the upper deck.
Thank you. This way, please.
Here you can see Asiana's 1-to-1 configured regular business class featuring Stelia Solstice seats. And all the way in the back is a 242 configured economy class section, with our seat being 74A. I am a big sucker for those upper deck economy class window seats on the A380, as they basically feel like premium economy with all that extra space. Because the upper deck isn't as wide, there are only 8 seats per row, as opposed to 10 seats on the main deck, which makes it easier to get out of your seat and thus has a less claustrophobic feel to it. But most importantly, the A380 has storage boxes built into its walls, making use of what otherwise would have been dead space caused by the fuselage's curvature. These boxes are there regardless of what kind of seat is put next to it, and not just gives you handy extra space to store things, but also a flat surface next to you during the flight. Contributing to that premium economy feel is the generous legroom of Asiana's long-haul economy class. Being 180 centimeters tall, this is phenomenal, and there's even a footrest installed. Universal power ports are available between the seats, and inside the seatback pocket you will find a pair of complimentary headphones, which is also generous for a 2-hour flight. The tray table can be used half-opened or fully opened, and each seat comes with an adjustable entertainment touchscreen. A remote control is available too, as is a USB-A port to charge small electronic devices, as well as a coat hook. In the ceiling above, you may notice there are no personal air vents, and the reading lights aren't adjustable. The audio port is at the tip of the armrest, and each seat has a headrest adjustable vertically as well as on the sides. Despite being almost a decade old, these economy class seats are holding up incredibly well, especially because of the modern video-on-demand entertainment system made by Panasonic.
Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to familiarize you with the emergency equipment and emergency evacuation of this aircraft.
As we're pushing back for departure, you may notice quite a few other South Korean planes here at Narita Airport. Compared to before the pandemic, South Koreans are traveling to Japan in notably increased numbers, which also reflects on the numbers of seats offered across the Sea of Japan. Seoul Incheon to Tokyo Narita and Seoul Incheon to Osaka Kansai were the 3rd and 5th busiest international air routes respectively in the world in 2024 and show significant increases compared to 2019. Especially the South Koreans' demand for travel to the greater Osaka area also justified the Boeing 747 operation until just recently, and the Incheon to Kansai sector also saw Asiana's A380 operating selected flights, a route that's just under 900 kilometers, so 400 kilometers shorter than the one to Tokyo. Now it's time to head out, and I'll need to stop talking for you to even be able to hear the A380's insanely quiet engines. Just have around 2 hours between departure and descent, let's have a quick look around the cabin before lunch is served. The lavatory is fairly standard. It comes with a changing table, and Asiana also provides a generic facial and hand lotion. Seats in the bulkhead row need to be paid extra for, and the crew makes sure nobody just sits down there during the flight. This A380 is also fitted with a colored LED lighting system, giving the cabin a cozy feeling on overnight flights. While the hardware is state-of-the-art, the software of Asiana's entertainment system isn't the newest anymore, but still gets the job done. A variety of movies and TV shows are available to watch on demand, with a notable focus on Korean content. Duh. In addition to music and games, there is also a dedicated kids section, as well as an interactive mapping application. The screens also come with a top layer, making them appear dark when looked at an angle, so you're not disturbed by what your neighbor is watching. Asiana's A380s do not offer Wi-Fi, so if you plan on staying connected during the flight, you'll need to travel aboard Asiana's Airbus A380, which is the only type in their fleet fitted with in-flight Wi-Fi. Even on this short flight, a complimentary hot meal service is offered. By default, only this one option is available, but you can pre-order special meals for free. The meal service has a rather unique layout, with a main dish being handed to you alongside this cardboard box and a beverage of your choice. Folded open, you can then place everything together. For the main course, we've got bulgogi beef on a bed of steamed white rice with veggies, an optional dab of gochujang, Korean red pepper paste, on the side. And it was served alongside some egg tofu, a waffle, a cup of water, and a beverage of your choice, where I went with some orange juice, but a variety of sodas, juices, coffee, and tea, as well as alcoholic options were offered at no charge. I flew from Tokyo Narita to Seoul Incheon aboard Asiana Airlines almost exactly 1 year prior as well, aboard their Airbus A321, about which I've made a detailed video too. And if you watched that review, you might have noticed that the meal served today is exactly the same as the one I had a year ago, down to the number of green beans and carrot pieces. Now, there is a slim possibility Asiana rotates their meal offerings based on the month or season, and since both flights were in December, I ended up with the same meal. However, the more likely scenario is that Asiana never changed what meal is served on this route, and that's kinda boring. However, in the grand scheme of things, this is an incredibly good complaint to have. Receiving a complimentary hot meal in economy class on a 2.5-hour flight isn't all that common anymore. And the meal was delicious enough that I didn't mind all that much having had it twice. As we're already starting our descent into Seoul, I have to say, this flight was awesome. Especially these upper deck economy class window seats are phenomenal for the amount of space they offer, but I also enjoyed the entertainment system and appreciate the variety of charging opportunities available too. And of course, as an aviation geek, because I got to try another airline's Airbus A380. The plane isn't manufactured anymore, so its number is only going to go down from now. And we have plenty more videos coming up featuring various A380s, including aboard Etihad, Emirates, and even on Qantas Airbus A380 on the upper deck. Definitely make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you won't miss those videos. Asiana's A380 was a pleasure to travel on board, and despite its age, it's still a wonderful option in economy class in particular, albeit only on a small number of routes. Asiana's long-haul economy class service is also fantastic, as I have showcased on a flight from Seoul to Frankfurt last year. If you need to travel between LA and Seoul, or in winter between Sydney and Seoul, Asiana's A380 is a choice I highly recommend and you make use of for as long as it still exists.
여러분, 서울 인천 국제공항에 도착했습니다. 좌석 벨트 표시등이 꺼질 때까지 벨트를 지속 착용하시고 비행기가 멈춘 후 선반을 여실 때는 물건이 떨어지지 않게 주의해 주십시오.
With that, welcome to Seoul Incheon International Airport. Special thanks to all those of you who continuously support our work with a paid channel membership. Starting at as little as €2 per month, which is just €24 per year, you can support our mission to create the most detailed, no-nonsense flight reviews possible. But whether you are a sponsor, a subscriber, or simply stopping by for this one video, thank you very much for watching and coming along. If you're down for another video, we recently also flew aboard Lufthansa's Airbus A380 from Los Angeles to Munich, also in economy class on the upper deck. If you want to see just how much Lufthansa has improved in recent years and how their A380 compares to Asiana's, click on the thumbnail displayed right now. Thanks again for watching and safe travels.